Please describe your best experience after transplant. Has something unexpectedly good come out of this?
Watching the sun come up. Just living and enjoying life like that. It was kind of a shock back in '07 when the doctors gave me that window because I had IPF. Gave me 6 months to 6 years to live. And so, that's 6 years was up in that April time frame like that when I had the transplant. And so it's like a new lease on life for me, I guess. It's like being born again. And that's the way I look at it. I think I expected, the transplant to be successful, which in my opinion it has. Of course, the relationship with my wife and I, that's improved a great deal. Of course, it was great before that, the transplant. But, it taught us how to work together a little bit more like that. And we were trying to go out and give back more than we can. In fact, I'm on several studies here at the hospital here like that, and I think that that's very important for people that can go out and give back to the organization that which saved your life,
Yeah, I went running the other day, and I ran farther than I have in 20 years, which wasn't far, but just knowing that my lungs were good enough, my body isn't in good enough shape as my lungs are, and so I couldn't run that far, and my legs are still getting back into shape, but and then riding a bicycle again, so there's things that I can do again that, are great.
One of the unexpected positive things that has occurred is the food in the hospital has greatly improved since I had my transplant. You now can order off a menu, and that is extremely important because as a patient, you spend the day either waiting for somebody to come in and do something to you, or they're doing something to you with a probe or prod or a needle. So food is food time is a time that you can kind of relax, and it's your time. And the hospital has done a phenomenal job of improving its food service, and it has been, as a patient, I'm grateful for that. One of the other items that has been unexpected and very positive has been the support that we've received from our friends, certainly our family, and in my case, my coworkers. They stayed close. They ended up reaching out to me daily, and it was extremely important to have that. And what has been occurring recently as a post-transplant patient is the opportunity to actually mentor other people that are considering a transplant, mainly. I have worked with 4 people so far, just through happenstance, that had transplant issues and weren't sure if they were going to go ahead with it or not. So I reached out to them, and we were able to talk through it, and I felt like I could help them make that decision. And so that's an unexpected pleasure.
Going home, my best experience had to be actually going home to my house, to my bed, and to my dog, Mocha. Yeah, he was sad that he couldn't see me because he never got to come to the city, but just going home, and being able to walk up my stairs without a tank. It was amazing. It is so amazing what happens after transplant. It's like, did I really use a tank all those years? Did I really sleep on oxygen every night? And when they removed the concentrator, it was very ceremonial. It was like, roll it out, just roll it out. Unexpectedly good is you appreciate life so much more. You recognize that even though you always knew it, it really isn't guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, and you just want to live. And that's all I want to do is live and do something good for somebody.
I think, Yes, so many great things for me came out of this transplant. One, as I mentioned, my relationship with my partner Jude has grown, in the context of having this, life-changing experience together, going through it together. I became very interested in transplant, and over the years I was able to come to work at the university, and now I'm part of a group called the Immune Tolerance Network, and we do research in a solid organ transplant. So it really changed my life. It opened a whole area of interest for me that I'm fascinated by, and I'm very lucky to be part of the world too.
My best experience since transplant was getting married. That was something I wanted so badly, and it didn't look like it was going to happen for me. So walking down the aisle toward my husband and having that moment was just the best possible thing I could imagine. One of the most exciting things that's actually happening for me now is that my husband and I are adopting a child, and we're actually waiting to adopt a child. We're on a list hoping to be chosen, but that's not something that I ever thought that I would get to do, is be a mom, and I'm just so excited that that's around the corner.
Again, two versions of it. When I first took a shower with no hoses in my body, no patches, no lines, no nothing. Just I stepped in the shower like a normal person, and I took a shower. I mean, after being connected to so many machines and instruments and lines and probes and all that kind of business for so long, just the simple fact of taking a shower was like revolutionary. The other experience, which is kind of crazy, is I took out the trash. Before I had my transplant, and while I was in the hospital, I could barely walk. Couldn't get down the hallway too much without my oxygen levels plummeting. But when I finally got out of the transplant and got all healed up and went home and got my strength about me so I could walk and talk and do all that kind of business, I went and I took out my trash. And it was a small thing, but it was something that I hadn't been able to do for almost a year and a half. It was great. I think sometimes we get in the hustle and bustle of life and we lose sight of our priorities. For me, after everything I've gone through, pre-transplant, the transplant, and the things that happen after, I don't feel very scared of death, and it's kind of a weight off your shoulders. My perspective is on a lot of things that used to be so important. They're not that important. Some of the things that I used to hold back on telling people, how much you appreciate them, or maybe your different opinions on situations, I don't hold back on that stuff anymore, and it's kind of freeing. It's nice. I mean, because, I was always raised to believe that, tomorrow's not promised to any of us. And you can say that, but now I really understand what it means. Today is the day, and you got to take advantage of it.
My best experience since transplant has been the opportunity to meet other people that are going through the same thing that I am, in lifestyle changes, in preparation, in the aftermath. So I have started a support group at John Muir Pulmonary Rehab in Concord. And as a result of that, I've met a lot of people that I would not have normally met in my circle of friends or in my life path. And it's an equalizer. It's an equalizer between people who have a common interest in living, who love and care for one another, who check up on each other. It gives us an outlet outside of our family to discuss things that bother us, things that we're concerned about, our future, our children, the things that we care about that we can't really express to our families or our caregivers. And I think that's the most important thing that has come as a result of my transplant.
Let's see, my best experience after transplant, I guess, was being with my grandkids. My granddaughter, who is now 9, 4 years ago, she said, "Nana, what is that? Why you don't have that thing in your nose anymore?" And she was young. And just being, I went out anyway with friends for lunch, so nothing much has changed. It's given me more time to think, and my hobby is genealogy, so I've had more time to do research on ancestors and stuff. So
Some of my best experiences post-transplant have just been getting back to the thing that I used to do before I had to have my transplant. When I was about 27, I went to Thailand with my boyfriend, and we spent 2 months there climbing. And it seemed like when I got back from that, about a year later, is when my lungs started declining very fast. And my CF doctor, he had told me when I was hospitalized, when I was 28, like, hey, you're gonna need to probably get a transplant. This is a real thing now. And so it was a shock, obviously, because I love climbing. That was one of my biggest things that I love doing all the time. And so being able to get back into doing that has been amazing. And then I took up mountain biking too. So just doing other things, and I'm snowboarding again. Before my transplant, I would still try. I would try really hard to do those things. I would just put my oxygen tank in a backpack and go down the mountain and have to stop a bunch of times in the middle, or, even going downhill was exhausting. But I think just still trying, even if you think everyone's going to look at you or like, what the heck's going on with that person? Who cares? Because you got to do what you can to still feel like how young you are, really. Because I know I was 28, 29, but I felt like a 90-year-old, like I was trapped, But you got to do your best to get out there, and you're still alive. It just takes a lot more effort. So the best experience have just been that, like getting to learn myself again and find out what my passions were beforehand and how I can do them so much better now. I just remember the first time I even went up the first flight of stairs when I had gotten out of the hospital. I was so scared to do it because I was like, what if I fail? What if the lungs don't work, And I just cruised right up them. I'm like, wow, what else can I do? And then I started mountain biking, even though I didn't think I could ever ride up a hill. So that kind of opened the doors, like, wow, I do a lot of stuff now. So I think just getting out in the world and nature and being active it's what gets the lungs strong. You're conditioning them, this new pair of lungs. So it's been cool learning to see and learning what they can do and doing it.
I've had so many wonderful experiences since transplant. I've been able to carry on a normal life. I've become an active volunteer with Sierra Donor Services, where I've met amazing people who have had similar stories. I've been able to connect with donor families to understand the other side of the picture. For me, one of the highlights was just this past weekend. There's a hike that I've always wanted to take in Tahoe, and my husband and I were up driving around the lake, and we just decided that this was the day. So we pulled off the car, and I hiked up to the top of Eagle Rock, and I stood there just thinking, this is amazing.
The best experience. There are so many. It's not just one. Waking up and breathing and seeing my sister's face, knowing that I was still here, that was probably the best. But from there, breathing deeply, laughing heartily, like really from the gut, having the breath to do that. Talking in long sentences like I am now without stopping for breath, which I couldn't do. Getting emotional and yet not getting out of breath. Enthusiastically dancing on my own 2 feet as opposed to in a chair going, yeah, this is cool. Being able to fly. I love to travel, and being able to fly is a big deal to me. Being able to hike, being out in nature and not slowing other people down, even in regular situations. Just not feeling like a burden, not physically, but just like I'm slowing other people down. Scurrying across streetlights, not against them, but I've got 3 seconds. Can I do it? Yes, I can. All that. It's just a continuous amount of joy.
Since transplant, I believe the the ability to be able to move around and interact with people and participate in family activities, things that happen in the community. I never took the time in the past to really enjoy those type of things because I felt like I had to work 24/7. And I pushed myself. A lot of times I never really took part in that. It was just kind of a side thing. Now that's more important, and it's more, that part of my life is much more appreciated.
The best thing that's happened to me after transplant, or the best experience, isn't one necessarily with the medical system because I was set up for that. It's actually been a much improved relationship with my daughter. She's young, she's 3, and the time before this, I really wasn't sure if I was going to be able to see her. And so the biggest thing is that I refuse to take that for granted at this point, and I maximize as much time with her. For me, the medical experience was kind of predicted because I live within it with my profession, so it's a little harder to be surprised on that side.